Welcome to the Joey Wilder podcast, where sarcasm, dad jokes, and quick wit blend with the no BS approach to relationships and marriage. I'm Joey Wilder, and I've been working with high-achieving men in relationships and marriages for the last 5 years, and I've seen it all: the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. If you're tired of your efforts to improve your marriage falling flat, then today's episode might be for you. You might be missing the mark. And in today's episode, I'm going to share 4 major things to consider if your marriage is struggling. Because too often, we think that grand gestures or quick fixes will magically solve our marriage problems. But the truth is, these efforts can really feel superficial. And if they don't address the deeper issues that keep showing up time and time again, it's just going to cause more problems. So let's dive into things where might be going wrong and how to flip the script.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Today, I'm here hoping to be able to interview Joey Wilder. He is the creator, inventor, founder, you name it.
We have Joey Wilder, first time coming on the show.
But at that moment, I had a choice to make. I either hit this while it's hot, while people are hyped up about it, or kind of let it simmer out. And I've been told by many great mentors that it's all about the timing of things. Because today, I'm going to come from the frame of relationship. However, I'm also going to add a nuance of business to it, because primarily I'm working with men that are stepping into the next level of not only their relationships, but also their businesses. And that relationship, just for context, realistically starts with yourself. I have worked with high-achieving men that are close to 9-figure net worth, some that are men that have achieved becoming rich very quick and feeling unfulfilled, men that were born into it, men that are self-made, and men that are somewhere in between. And regardless, wealth is not a number. Wealth is a state of mind. It's a state of being. It's a place. It's a feeling. Everyone knows what their version of feeling wealthy will feel like. And I can assure you, most of the time, it's not attached to a dollar amount. It's usually the things you're able to do. It's the deeper underlying reason why we want money, why we want autonomy. Now, if we want to have that same success in our relationship, there's 4 key major things to consider if your business is struggling, or on the inverse, maybe your relationship is struggling, either with yourself or with your partner. Now, when I say partner, I'm referring to girlfriend, fiance, wife. When I refer to that, I just want to clarify for anyone that listens to this. But the truth is, some of these efforts in our business can be lackluster. Sometimes we look for a quick fix. And sometimes similarly in relationships, we can use grand gestures as quick fixes. In business, man, there's so many get-rich-quick schemes online. And realistically, none of them are going to make you rich quick. And if it does, you will probably lose it just as quickly. You know what I mean? But guys, starting with number 1, this is where things might be going wrong and how to flip the script. And starting with number 1, you might be missing the point. Now, in our business, so commonly, we get what I call destination-oriented. This is when we get so hyper-focused and hyper-fixated on a dollar amount, a place, a number of clients, and we lose sight of like our greater mission. You ever had that happen? This happens even in careers. Of course, my dogs decide the one time they're going to play with any toy all day is this one moment. That's just how life goes. Because life comes in motions, and you never know what life is going to throw at you, much like any man that comes through these doors. But back to what I was referring to, when we're missing the point, usually it's because we're in crisis mode. We're just trying to get out of where we're at, the now that we're in. We're in crisis. We're in scarcity. It's kind of like when we're in financial crisis, we will do anything to survive. Some of us, it's what was indoctrined or conditioned during our upbringing. You know, I've met individuals that grew up. It reminds me of one individual that, he grew up in a less than middle class family, and his mom came to him at one point and it said, we can have dinner tonight, or we can drive myself to work tomorrow and you to school. And they didn't end up having dinner that night. Now, when we're in crisis mode, when we've been conditioned in that, it's easy to think that in a relationship, a big gesture or a one-off effort will fix everything. It's easy to think in business or career, this one thing is going to change the course of our career. Now, that's not to say a person you meet or an opportunity you seize, but get rich quick schemes, anything that sounds too good to be true usually is. That is the golden rule that has withstood the test of time. Now, sometimes in those efforts, when we're trying to have things in a get-rich-quick scheme or create a big cash influx, or maybe we just overwork ourselves to the ground, everything has an inverse. Regardless if you're a business owner, a career guy, like a career man, which I respect all of these, or if you're an entrepreneur, regardless of what you identify as in your career or where you're at, take an assessment where you may be missing the point. In business, sustainable and structured and consistent is the key. There is no master key. Sure, you can do things that can create a quick cash influx, but if it's not sustainable and if it's not scalable, it's always going to create a negative diminishing return. It reminds me of a business I was in, and we hired the wrong person. And when you hire the wrong person, or you bring the wrong person into your life, or you implement the wrong idea, it becomes like a cancer. Fundamentally, if you do anything consistently for a long enough time, let's say 30 days, you will move the needle forward. So be conscious on if you may be doing the wrong thing or the right thing. And that comes back to where you may be missing the point. Now, in a relationship, this might be being present and communicating openly and doing this consistently. I talk with guys all the time that, like, man, I've been doing this for like 2 weeks, and dude, she sat on my lap today. And that's great. However, you're not out of the fire. Like, the fire is still burning. If anything, the embers are now more than embers. You need to keep stoking the fire, right? Anyone knows this. It doesn't matter if you grew up in nature or not. You keep a fire burning by stoking the fire. Like, cartoons show you this, But guys, when you think of where you may be missing the point, maybe in your profession, if you're not showing up consistently, in your business, if you're not doing the things consistently in the right direction, then you are not deserving of the values or the exclusivities that come from being consistent, whether that's financial surplus, whether that's security, whether that's the relationship of your dreams, whether that's the body that you desire. Consistently and sustainability, when you miss the point, it has diminishing return. And that is number one. Now, number two, in a relationship, number two to contextualize is pulling the wrong levers. Now, when I say levers, I look at levers of life. Now, if we look at the pillars here at Modern Man, we've got brotherhood, we've got business, we've got body, we've got being, we've got balance, right? Those are 5 pillars that we synthesize, and underneath that is an ecosystem of life. Think Zig Ziglar's Wheel of Life, but men and brotherhood and what it means to have balance in your life and a sense of being and a sense of body that is healthy. That is not to say you need to look like a specimen. However, 1 + 1 = 2. That is not to say those out of shape are unhealthy. It's not what I'm saying. However, with number 2, where may you be pulling the wrong lever? You know, in a relationship, this can look like constantly pushing and being overbearing and just people pleasing and just pick me. It reminds me, I have stories on top of stories. It reminds me of another gentleman that he had shared with me how in his relationship, like, he was just pushing and pushing and pushing, like to the sense where like this man's wife was like, she was just relaxing and he came over to her and he was like, is there something wrong? Are you okay? You don't normally relax. And I was like, good God, man. That would irritate the fuck out of me. I'm going to be honest. I would turn to someone and I would be like, can you back up? Like, I'm relaxing. But it was out of the ordinary for her to do this. And so he was pulling the wrong lever. This is number 2, guys, and where the major things to consider if you feel like your profession is crumbling, your career is crumbling, your finances are crumbling, or your marriage is crumbling, all of those things are synonymous. And these are the 4 key areas to take assessment in. And number 2 is pulling the wrong levers. If you find yourself constantly pushing to fix things, whether it's in your career, in your relationship, in your finances, with the relationship with the people closest to you, maybe your kids, your parents, if you are constantly pushing to fix things, maybe you are pulling the wrong lever. You know, where you may be pulling the lever of trying to connect and trying to close the loop, maybe there is a different lever. Now, I'm just speaking out loud here. Okay? But in this, when you are trying to constantly push to fix things, you are like Bob the metaphorical builder. Can I fix it? And realistically, that can backfire fast because your partner, if you're in a relationship, may just feel like they're another project on your to-do list. Now, I remember a guy had shared with me, he was like, man, yeah, I have time to connect with my partner, like in my ClickUp. And ClickUp is a task management software. And he shared this with me, and I was like, yeah. And he says, and then she found it. I was like, yeah. And he was like, and she was mad that I only had 15 minutes etched out in it. And like everything else had way more time. And I was like, oh. And I didn't want to get into the dialogue there with him. But it led to her feeling like a to-do list because she was literally a part of a to-do list. And I can see both sides, and I don't want to get into that. You know, that has to do with the nuances of the pseudo-dynamics of their relationship. Like, it's deeper than just that. It didn't take this for her to see that. This was just the literal representation that reaffirmed the story that she already told herself about a part of you that she struggles to accept or love, or there's more to it. But guys, when you're pulling the wrong levers, like your partner can feel like they're part of a to-do list. Your business can feel like a task. Your profession can feel like just something you exist in. And that is not to say that sometimes like you got to put the pedal down. Like I know exactly how that is. Like I had an experience that I won't get into right now, but I had shared with you on the last call, you know, the dogma of the last 42 days. And I wrote an email on it, and man, it's just life moves in motions. When you take a look at the levers that you have in front of you, what can you actually do? Because any form of external expression is due to what we feel internally. Now, that's where our thoughts happen. You feel something inside. You're angry, right? You have the feeling, the thought, and then you form a belief. I see red. And when I see red, I become Kyle. No, you don't need to be proverbial Kyle. Your fist will thank you, and so will your drywall. You don't. But back to the point, you may be pulling the wrong lever, because instead of always on focusing what's wrong, guys, we are wired that way neurologically. For some reason, psychoanalytically, I won't get into the details, but we are ingrained and conditioned to look at things through this lens of focusing on what's wrong. And it's due to us always being in crisis mode. You know, we're conditioned. And when you are conditioned that way, rest can feel like a chore. Rest can feel like a chore. I know what it feels like to just be relaxing on the couch and just thinking about all the things you could be doing that you're not currently doing in your life because you're not where you thought you would be. I get that. I get it. And that is a dogma. That is not just a dogma that I am plagued with. You know, everyone on here is nodding their head. Every man can relate to that. And I believe a part of that is it's in our nature, you know, that conquestrian, the attainer, the achiever. We want to achieve. Tell me you're proud. I get it. But you're already on the other side of the last set of goals that you set, that you said you would be happy when you attained. And I'm speaking to myself and I'm quoting someone online. However, it still holds true. Where may you be pulling the wrong levers? Because if you're always focusing on what's wrong, how will you find balance in the moments of joy, fun, and connection? I think it just comes back to celebrating the wins, no matter how small, and making sure that your partner, when you're with them, guys, a part of balance is like ensuring those that you love know. Sometimes it means sending a message. Other times it means just checking in. Sometimes it can mean respecting the space that you have between where you are currently at and where you were, and understanding that this is part of the process. Guys, there's people I don't speak to for months and months on end. And we can pick right back up where we were. There's others that, you know, distance sometimes makes the heart grow fonder. And I hate that quote, to be honest, but I'm going to use it to polarize this. But also, distance gives clarity on those that no longer have space in your life, or space in the way that they did. And that's not negative at all, and that's not ego. That's just honoring and respecting where you were at. Not everyone deserves access to you guys. In all of this, in number 2, it's not all about problem solving. When we're constantly looking for a problem, we're going to find a problem to solve. But when we're constantly looking for a problem to solve, rest can feel like a chore, and we can never be fully present because we're always waiting for the pin to drop, or the crisis to be averted, or your heart to be broken, or the person to cheat, or the money to go away, or the money to... Like, guys, it comes in so many ways. Sometimes it's not just about problem solving. Sometimes it's about enjoying the process, whether it's in business. Because, guys, I know so many men that get caught up in this. And guess what, guys? Eventually, all things come down. That's just how physics works. All things come down. You cannot continue on an upswing. In business, if we're constantly focused on attaining revenue goals, if we are constantly focused on the next thing in our relationship, like if we're constantly focused on like feeling more, whether it's more connected or something is missing, guys, sometimes we get to a point where there's nothing missing, and this is the homeostasis that the relationship is going to exist in for the time being. And you get to enjoy that because there's going to be a future now. I was speaking to a friend, and guys, part of the bittersweetness of getting older is the people that you love get older too. It's like my toddler getting taller, my brother getting bolder, my mother getting older, and my mentor reaching, and I don't talk about this guy often. It's like he's reaching a point in his life where like he's been like saying goodbyes. And he had said, because I ask him questions and I'm trying to convince him to do a podcast with me, but he's just... There's layers to it, but I'm going to mention him and I won't mention his name. But I had asked him the other day and I said, man, what would you do if you could go back? And he said, I would rather be 34-year-old me with all the time in the world and no money at all than present day me with all the money I have. And man, it sat with me. This guy has everything. Partner passed away like 2 decades ago. And, he's lived with himself. But in this, this training it synthesized from this conversation. And where may you be pulling the wrong levers? Because I had asked him, I said, can you relate to even this day? When you're just relaxing, you're still thinking of things to do? And he said, absolutely. I create things. And he's like, now I plant plants. I check on the plants. And he's like, it's a problem. But it's boded him well in life. And number 3, there are no substitutes for daily effort. There are no substitutes for daily effort. Now, making big promises in business, making big promises online, making big promises in your profession, saying you're going to do something you won't. We can stop with the over-embellishing because there's no substitutes for daily effort. Making big promises, online in our marketing, making big promises to our superior, maybe making big promises to ourselves. Now, I'm going to get up at 3 a.m. every single day. I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and I'm going to die by noon, and I'm going to die at my desk and behind, guys, hustling until you're dead is dead. It's not sustainable. Now, I'm not saying not work hard. I'm not saying that at all. You guys are all hardworking men. That's why you're where you're at. Whether you enjoy where you're currently at or not, it is not where you always were. And some of this is a byproduct of the convicted choices that you made to stand for yourself. Never forget that. But guys, there's no substitutes for daily effort. It's like guys that make romantic gestures. They get attention, but in the short term, they don't replace small, consistent actions that build trust. In business, man, do you know how many people that I see in business aren't consistent in their messaging? Maybe they're not consistent in the product they deliver and the thing that they do. Guys, anyone in business or in a profession, fundamentally, I know that they're great at what they do if people are referring people to them, if people are saying good things about what they do, if people have good things to say about them. Because the internet is a very busy place at all times. The internet, and the thing is, you can always build something. Whether you are in a profession right now, whether you're stepping into a new area, maybe you're stepping into new realms in your business, or maybe you're just intrigued about furthering your career. Guys, it is never too late. That's one of the main lies that men tell themselves, that it's too late. It's not. Guys, Warren Buffett, I'm just going to segue for a sec. Warren Buffett, I was watching an interview from him. The guy, he's up there. The guy was sharing his 15-year plan. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, I love the guy's optimism. He must know something I don't, because he's planning to be here another 15 years. And he shared his 15-year plan. And I'm like, sir. And, I'm respectfully, he's up there. But guys, he has a 15-year plan. He's not planning to fail, and he's not planning to leave. He's staying consistent in the daily efforts, because there's no substitution for that. Now, are your daily efforts sustainable? That's the next thing. Is it sustainable what you're currently doing? Guys, I understand there's certain phases where we have to put the pedal to the metal, whether it's in the producer aspect or whether we're trying to balance things out in our life, whether it's the relationship with yourself, among your kids, among your profession, among your relationship, or maybe you're stepping into dating. Regardless on where you're at, there's no substitutes for daily effort. Because real transformation, whether it's in your business, in your profession, or in your relationship, happens when you show up consistently. This means that you're dependable. It means that are more collaborative in moving things forward every single day. That's not to say that you don't have bad days, because you're fucking human. And number 4, how many guys constantly get caught up, or previously you did, in getting overloaded, or maybe you're overloading with solutions? You know, maybe in your relationship, you were just Mr. Fix-It. And a lot of the guys that I'm speaking with here, you guys have been doing this long enough to know not to show up as Bob the metaphorical builder. You know? But guys, when you show up as Mr. Fix-It, or constantly having solutions, even in your business or in your profession, guys, I understand when people get caught up in the only way to do things, or the right way to do things is doing it yourself. I personally believe that is a fundamentally wrong way of thinking. Now, granted, we have a way of doing things that we believe is efficient, but I believe a good leader is able to recognize areas that he is not the best in, and is able to bring someone in who either is or can do the thing better than he does, or enlist the service or support of the person that can do the thing better than they can. Guys, I've gotten further in life and collapsed time by hiring the right people. Now, from that, it can lead to an overload of solutions in different environments. In a profession, man, if you're constantly solving the problems for the people around you, it can lead to diminishing returns. When you're overloading on solutions, it can disempower employees. I used to do that way back in the day. When I would have individuals I worked with, I would do it for them. And I would be like, you understand? Instead of having them do it with me, it can backfire. Because then you have to explain it again, and you get frustrated, then it creates resentment. Good leaders can not only replicate themselves, but create better versions of themselves. Because when you're constantly overloading with solutions in your relationship, man, let's just keep things simple. In a relationship, it just feels disempowering. Feels like they have no autonomy. Instead of asking, what can I do to support you? You can ask that same thing in business. What would a solution to this look like? Guys, in any scenario, when you feel like you want to provide a solution, step 1 is pause. Step 2, ask for clarity. Step 3, respond. Don't react. So commonly, we're forming a response in our mind, a reactive response, before the person's even done sharing what they're sharing. It doesn't feel good, right? When we think about it. Because there's been times where I've been speaking with someone, and maybe you can relate, when you're sharing about a story and then they like share a story that like supersedes your story instead of fully being present with what you shared. You guys ever had that? It doesn't feel good. It feels like you just wanted to share about your story. You didn't even listen to mine. Like, when we could have gotten to their story, but all of that to say, that's just a solution. You know, they're not fully present. When we're looking for solutions, we're not fully present. When we balance problem solving with joy and asking for clarity, you know, this comes from actually being curious. And really, consistently being curious and daily efforts leads to having trust. A strong relationship, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's in your profession with employees, or even with yourself. Guys, when you show up consistently for yourself, in your relationship, in your profession, and in your business, it creates trust. It creates sustainability for yourself and everyone around you. Like, think about it. When you are on point with things, you feel like you can trust yourself because you're confident. Like, when you are doing the things consistently, it creates this ecosystem of trust starting with yourself. Guys, this all goes back to it all starts with you. Now, guys, anything that is strong comes from consistent efforts that are sustainable. It's not about quick fixes. It's about showing up every single day with intention, compassion, and curiosity. Now, I've seen this pattern time and time again with not only high-achieving men, but men that are in crisis, Whether it's in their business or within their marriage, they're always looking for these quick wins that yield fast results. And that just seems fundamentally flawed. Any business that is a sustainable business, that is something to talk about, that anyone talks about, or something that can be respected, was built over time. Any marriage that can be respected was built over time. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. That is a truth. Rome was built over time. So why do we believe that get-rich-quick schemes exist and quick fixes to our relationships and our business problems exist? They don't. We only believe that they do because somewhere along the way, maybe it's fast food, we think that everything should be fast. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. If you want anything to turn around, start by putting in consistent, meaningful work, because that's what builds anything back, whether it's your marriage beginning to thrive or your business beginning to be sustainable and have an ecosystem and structure that is not only scalable, but something that you can lean on. Because regardless of the seasons, every seasons of business has markets that it goes through. Regardless of the market that it goes through, know that you've built something sustainable. Regardless of the market that your marriage has gone through, build something sustainable. And the same thing can be said for a relationship with yourself. Because it starts with you. The external expression of everything around you is a reflection of your choices. If you don't like it, you have a choice. It really does come back to you. 3 lessons to take away. Number 1, quick fixes won't solve the deeper issues. Number 2, you get to balance solutions with joy. Don't turn everything into a project. You get to celebrate the good just as much as you sometimes polarize the bad. And number 3, small, consistent actions trump the big gestures. Yeah, grand gestures are nice, but they won't replace the consistent effort that makes marriages and businesses thrive. Now, thanks for tuning in to another episode on the Joey Wilder podcast, where we don't just talk about relationships and biz, but we also provide practical solutions. Subscribe, like, follow, and rate the podcast. It's available on all podcast platforms: Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.